Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today, we're going to be talking about Casper Network. So, obviously, today is a little bit of a slow start with Bitcoin, kind of just ranging around 58.5K. We have seen about 57.9K and possibly even a little bit lower on 57K. But overall, we are bouncing back. We're looking fairly good. Most altcoins are fairly red today. I mean, there is some that are green. For example, on the 24-hour, we do see, Avalanche up about 14%, Immutable X up, almost 13%. But for the most part, there's not too many gains being made. Of course, on the 7-day span, we are seeing those gains kind of still stabilize on few assets like Sandbox and stuff. Even, Crypto.com. Crypto.com has been doing fairly good, especially with, its major announcements with its overall social media engagement for the renaming of that stadium. So when we're talking about everything that's going on in the market right now, obviously things are a little bit stable. Nothing's making too many gains. Bitcoin dominance is around 42.3%. Ethereum is around 19.6%. So things are looking fairly good. Nothing is pretty much concerning right now. We're kind of consolidating in a little bit of a bore fest, if you will. And I mean, I do believe that what's going to be happening here shortly, especially with Bitcoin, because obviously we're going to be talking about Casper, but we do see something like this, right? Where we pretty much go to make a little bit of a high, and then we kind of consolidate, drop again, retest a little bit of a support zone, find support there, continue on upward, and now we're pretty much launching again, right? We're going to be seeing this. We're going to be seeing like some sideways trading for Bitcoin, a little bit of stabilization. But it's not going to go right to the moon immediately, which I know a lot of people in crypto, don't like to hear that, but it is already November 20th. This month has came and went like it was nothing. So now we only have about a week left, a week and a half left in this month. And what ends up happening in December is essentially what has happened every other December, especially when we're looking back at 2017, where, it really did start. Bitcoin itself really started to launch in December as well. But we are having a little bit of a slow start here. So in terms of, where Bitcoin could go, we could have a quarter one, quarter two sort of pump for a lot of these altcoins, and Casper is going to be one that is going to pump extremely hard because I believe that with a lot of what's happening in the market, especially with DeFi, NFTs, and stuff like that, Casper is looked at as one of those main assets that is a utility grade asset that is doing incredibly well in the Ethereum scene in terms of becoming Ethereum 3.0. We've discussed this multiple times, and in terms of Casper, trading volume is up about 15%. We have found strong support and conviction at around the 13 centile range. You could really see that on the 7-day span being 13 cents down here. We have held that level very strong, and I'm very happy with the price chart for that, and we're going to be talking about that, and I also want to talk to you guys about a few other things. Now, before we fully jump into this video, I just want to ask if you guys are new or not new to the channel, definitely hit that like button as it does help the channel grow. Also, if you guys will gladly consider subscribing and turning notifications on by the end of this video, I will greatly appreciate that. Also, if you guys do want to get more of my content, you guys could go check out NCashOfficial.com. I'm running a sale. It is ending today. Guys, go and get this sale while it does last. Today is the last day to claim the 20% off on the Ultimate Crusader Trading Bundle Pack. I do have a ton of other, products on the store as well, so you guys are more than welcome to go check those out. Now, let's talk about the price chart for Casper. First off, let's talk about the weekly chart for Casper. So, this is a very undervalued gem. I've discussed this. I've talked about this. You guys don't need me to tell you guys that it is an undervalued gem. Now, on the weekly, things look a little bit different. Okay, obviously we have our support and resistance points labeled on the chart with these lines here. But overall, the major point from the level that we're at currently is a retest of around this resistance point on the weekly zone, which is about 15.5 cents. You might be wondering, well, that's not that far away at all, and it's not. That is why I'm saying, we need to be watching Casper closely here, because I know a lot of people have been asking me, dude, where do you think is a good entry point for Casper? Where do you think is a good buy? Well, I think that we've already had that, and I know that that's gonna, worry a lot of people. But I told you guys when I bought, I told you guys in the Discord when I bought, and on Twitter as well. That's why you guys should always, join the free Discord down in the description below, as well as joining or following me on Twitter, because I will tell you guys when I'm buying an asset. And I essentially bought this at the bare bottom during this dip, which was around 13 cents. And if we look down here, let's go to the daily chart. In terms of the dip that we just recently had, we bottomed out at around 13 cents almost exactly, and we pretty much hit it twice. Okay, so you had two opportunities to really get into this asset at the bare bottom prices. Now, in terms of the weekly chart, this is the interesting thing. So once we break over this line, which is the weekly resistance going back to August 2nd and August 9th, or the week of August 2nd and the week of August 9th. And I know that these points are very close together because this is the weekly, right? On the daily, I have this other line here because that is the point, or this line here, sorry, because that is the point where we needed to break over initially. This is that, 14.5 centile range, which we are now finding support on, which is very good on the daily. So we look extremely strong on this, and this is also resistance going back to August 25th and 26th. Now, if we remove this line altogether on the weekly, and we really kind of look at where we needed to originally break over, well, at that point, we already broke over, and in fact, we've already found support above it, which is around the 12 centile range. Now we're just targeting this 15.5 cent, or 1530 centile range, sorry. And once we do pretty much break over that, the next major target point is around 18.5 cents, which I've talked to you guys about for a fairly long time, which it's not really even resistance on the weekly chart at all. The next major point of resistance would be around, somewhere up here. So, on the daily chart, we could actually see that resistance being, the point going all the way back to August 7th and August 8th. We could see this, right here. Obviously, we need to break over that. We are very close to it, and right now we really want to break over this point that we're looking at right now on the chart. Once we do break over that, which it looks like we are in an upward trend, it looks fairly strong, to be completely honest with you. I have a lot of conviction with Casper to really kind of break these levels. But once we do break out of that 18 centile range, which is around this point here, we are going to move extremely fast. We were pretty much on the way to test it on the 16th. That is exactly why I felt confident buying the dip here, because we held extremely strong compared to most assets. And I know that a lot of people were telling me, well, dude, if you go off of the top of this candle to the bottom here, it's like a 26% drop in price. And I understand that, right? In fact, we could acknowledge that right now. In terms of the price drop on Casper from the top of this candle to the bottom here, it was about a 26.85% drop. Is this strong? In terms of a percentage drop, no, this is not strong. But what was strong about it is that it did not go lower. I was honestly expecting 10 cents to be retested, or somewhere down here on this line. We didn't even drop that hard. Compared to most altcoins, like, for an example, the beloved XRP that I do talk about a lot on this channel actually dropped a significant point, right? Just to show you guys here, we can go to the XRP chart. So let's go to Binance and let's go to the top of this candle here. So again, like I said, I think it was like 26.86%. A lot of these other altcoins, and I know that this wasn't a massive dropping point compared to what we did, because this was 27.52%, not much, but I'm just saying most altcoins have lost their significant support. In fact, the significant support for XRP at this point was about $1.05, which we regained it. It was like $1.04 realistically. We regained it fairly fast, but Casper itself didn't lose any support, because we already jumped out of that descending wedge originally, and we found support at the 13 centile range, which is essentially 1330, which I've discussed. This is pretty much that support level. But most altcoins were going to drop in that same percentage bracket. I was just expecting Casper to have a deeper dip, because something like XRP that has almost 50 billion in circulating supply is not going to move as much as something like Casper that has a small supply percentage for it. A lot of these low cap and mid-tier gems, they drop extremely hard. If you look at something that had 100 million or a billion in circulating supply, the percentage drops are like 30-40%. So for this to only drop about 26.86%, yeah, I think that that's extremely strong, and it has probably one of the strongest bounce backs as well. In terms of the percentage that it pretty much moved back up, we're already up from these buys down here currently at the current price, 12.71%, which I know is not a huge percentage, but it is a fairly good, profit point, especially considering the fact that, we pretty much did that on, the span of 2 days. So Casper itself is very strong on the daily. In terms of the weekly, like I said, we still have to break out of this line here, which is major resistance. After this point, I just target 18 cents. 18 cents, this point here is the next major point to really kind of watch for. But after that, it's 30 cents plus with, if we could flip this point up here, so if we could pretty much flip this original support zone that we pretty much ranged on for about 2 days overall before we pretty much had that nasty drop in June, this would be very good, which is 24 cents. If we could find support at 24 cents and continue the upward momentum past 30 cents plus, which is the next major point of resistance, that will be extremely bullish for us. And of course, I do have a few lines up here like 35.74, which isn't, strong resistance. It is on the daily. If we look at the daily, so like I said, it's not strong resistance, but it is a point that we need to watch for because we did retest it multiple times back here. It could be even a little bit lower. It could be at like 35 cents, almost exact. But I think that is a strong point for us to actually kind of target. And I know that there's a lot of lines on the screen. I do apologize, but I do want to show you guys the levels that we really need to break out of before we do range higher. And there's not a lot of resistance here because this was just a free fall from the ICO. In terms of the 4 hours and the micro levels, there's not a lot of micro levels to actually watch for up here. And, in terms of Casper's price appreciation, I think that we're going to see a huge move very soon. And of course, you guys could see on the micro levels, there's a lot more resistance points that we need to watch for. Like, for an example, here's a multiple retest of 51 and it's like 51.5 cents, almost exact. That's a point to watch for. We did retest this point here as well on the 4 hour, which isn't, a strong conviction for me. Even this is not even a strong conviction for me at about 64 cents. I would say maybe up here at around 86 cents, maybe that would be the next major target point, or somewhere in the 90s. But it doesn't matter because, from our current prices up there, I would be totally fine hitting resistance up there because even from our current prices, like I said, this is exactly why I told you guys about Casper. Just above or just to this last resistance point that I have labeled on the chart, it's about 181% of an upward move. And to $1, which I think is the bare minimum targets this bull run, is 587% of a move up. But of course, I do think that we will see this. I think that we will see $1.50 at least, which is a 928% move, which most of these altcoins will make even bigger moves. We are seeing a lot of updates within the Casper ecosystem as well. I just did a video, I think it was yesterday, where I talked to you guys about some, new partnerships with the ecosystem of this asset. And when we're talking about the 4 hour, the 4 hour looks extremely healthy. Looks like we bottomed out exactly, like I said, at that 13th centile range. And now it looks like we're just in an upward momentum. And we came down and retested this support zone at about 14 cents. We dipped a little bit below it, but it looks like that is becoming the major support level on the 4 hour base point. And we can kind of see that. Overall, the major point would actually be around this level at about 14 and 11 cents. That would be the main point to really kind of watch for. But overall, I don't think that we come down too much lower at all. In fact, on the Casper Bitcoin chart, which I've always discussed with you guys, is also a big key to watch for. Again, our major support level was around 227 sats. Does this look bad on the 4 hour? It looks like we could see a little bit of a retest, possibly if we don't gain some strength here. But it looks like it's, coming down to retest a major support level, which we have already done at the 242 sat level. Looks like it's looking good. On the daily chart, again, looks like it's in an upward path. Looks like we are printing a bull flag perfectly from the 15th all the way to now. So I would say this is probably one of the strongest looking charts for most altcoins. And on the weekly, I mean, it looks just fairly good. Of course, we need to be patient a little bit. Is it going to break out tomorrow? Probably not, but I will say this. Tomorrow is the weekly candle close, so I'm expecting some price movements throughout the market that are fairly volatile. Could we see Bitcoin kind of run? It is possible. For something like Casper, though, I'm expecting very strong conviction from the market, and I'm expecting some upward momentum here as well. But with that being said, I hope that you all enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on if you guys want more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. As always, I hope that you all have a beautiful day or beautiful night wherever you guys are in this beautiful world. This has been Nick. Peace out, guys.